Winston Churchill is globally known as someone who is often quoted when a hard decision must be made, inspiring your office Zoom call, and displaying the true character of someone when the going gets tough. Do you want to learn more about the hard beginnings of how this brilliant man became an inspiration to so many throughout history? Then join us now on Liber-Tea as we delve into the fascinating life and times of young Winston Churchill's childhood, his struggles and achievements, and how he emerged to become one of the most important people in history. Be sure to subscribe, like, share, and comment on this and other episodes that interest you. Winston Spencer Churchill was born in 1874. He was the son of Prime Minister Randolph Churchill, a cold and somewhat erratic man who would later contract syphilis from a chambermaid soon after his newly wedded vows to the not-so-innocent herself, Lady Randolph Churchill, reportedly later to have a 2-year affair with the king and over 200 lovers. Churchill grew up in his father's house on Grosvenor Square, where he spent a very lonely childhood. He was educated at Harrow School in England. Despite the fact that he had a very prestigious upbringing, Winston had a difficult time as a child, including not having much actual money to go around. He struggled with schoolwork and had many personal issues that seemed to plague him his whole life through. He excelled academically, but was often bullied by older students. His childhood was full of exciting events. For example, he had to go to school at the age of 4 and started learning about Latin when he was just around 6 years old. He also studied French, German, and mathematics at school, starting from when he was 7 years old. In Winston Churchill's early life, he was a schoolboy with a love for all things military. He won many prizes for his art and science. However, he did keep to himself. There was a loving figure in young Winston's life, Elizabeth Everest, his childhood nanny, who encouraged him and showed him the power of love. When she was fired by the Churchill family, she received her own money. She was so important to him that he arranged for her medical care later in life, was at her bedside when she died, paid for her grave, and displayed her portrait in his home until his death. This relationship, which was offensive to his parents, was one of the most important relationships in his life. The relationship with Everest allowed him to function as an adult and minimize the psychological damage done by his parents. At Harrow School, he spent his time there from age 8 to age 13. The school instilled in Winston a sense of discipline and a thirst for knowledge that served him well in his future career as a politician. However, it was not like this from the start. In fact, Churchill narrowly passed the Harrow School entrance exam and was not known to be academically brilliant, except in English and history. His teachers complained that he was unpunctual and careless. His only few redeeming qualities was that he wrote poetry and letters which were published in the school magazine, and he won a fencing competition. Toward the end of his school career, his father insisted that he be prepared for a career in the military, and so Churchill's last 3 years at Harrow were spent in the army form. Still, he performed poorly in most of his exams. The making of a Nobel Peace Prize winner can be a long and difficult road. Churchill continued to struggle as a student, and he failed the entrance exam for the Royal Military Academy at Sandhurst. He did not have good grades, so he didn't want to be an officer, but rather he wanted to join his father's company as an apprentice. He was eventually sent to school again at St. Albans School and later passed the entrance exam for Royal Military Academy at Sandhurst. Churchill dreamed early on of serving in the British Army. He had a massive toy soldier collection with which he would play for hours, repositioning his troops and readying them for battle. His father preferred him to join the infantry, but against his father's wishes, he joined the cavalry. Though it took him 3 tries to finally gain entrance to Sandhurst, it was the first significant milestone in beginning his career on the world stage. Upon graduation, he was given a commission in the 4th Queen's Own military. His early military career would lead him to world fame and later contribute to him winning his first political election. Though he lost the first election he stood for at Oldham, he won the second. When he was a soldier, he wanted to be posted to where the action was. He had his eyes set on either Egypt or South Africa, but things didn't work out that way. He ended up being posted to India in the autumn of 1896. The military routine in Bangalore was boring for him. He became a war correspondent for the Daily Telegraph in the colonial British Northwest frontier. There were many examples of his love for adventure, which marked the life of the man he was growing into. He was not afraid of the battlefield. His first book was The Story of the Malacan Field Force, was published in 1898. There he wrote, "Bullets are not worth considering. I do not believe the gods would create so potent a being as myself for so prosaic an ending." This portrayed Winston for who he indeed was. There was no room in his life for fear or self-doubt. Winston Churchill's childhood is a perfect example of how an individual can succeed despite difficult circumstances. He will later become one of the most revered and respected political figures of all time. He would go on to serve as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom twice and would also be awarded a Nobel Prize. While he grew up in a family where he had to face various hardships, including his father's addiction to alcohol, financial difficulties, and physical abuse, he was able to overcome these difficulties with determination and perseverance. Thank you for joining Liber-Tea. We hope you have enjoyed this episode of young Winston Churchill, and maybe was even inspired by his fortitude and dogma-like character. It certainly didn't start that way, but he definitely grew into this tall stature. Be sure to subscribe, like, share, and comment on your favorite episodes of Liber-Tea, and make sure to let us know what other future historical figures and events you'd like to know about. Thank you for listening.